Hey guys, happy Sunday. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the end of year book tag. So basically what this is there are 6 questions just about your reading plans for the end of the year and partially for next year. So without further ado, make sure you're following me on Instagram. Link is in the description. Follow me on Goodreads if you're curious about any books I've mentioned in previous videos. And with all that being said, let's jump into the video. So the first question that we have is books you haven't finished this year. So like books you started and you haven't finished. I have quite a few, so hold please. So the first book I started this year and I haven't finished, I have already read this, so it's more of just like a reread, is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I was hoping to read this in October for like a kind of fall read, but I got like 21 pages in and put it down because I am such a mood reader. Book 2 is one I'm currently reading, although kind of not feeling it, so I might just DNF it right now, and that is The Case for Jamie by Brittany Cavallaro. This is the 3rd book in the Charlotte Holmes series, which is basically a Sherlock Holmes retelling following their descendants. I don't know. I just wasn't really feeling this. I am 42 pages in. It is a really short book and I do want to finish the series, maybe. We'll see, but I just need to get through this one first. 1 page at a time. That's what I tell myself to get through a book. The next book that I DNF'd is Realmbreaker by Victoria Aveyard. I really didn't like the Red Queen series. I strongly disliked Glass Sword, which is the 2nd book in that series. The first one was alright. I gave it 4 stars. I think I just don't like Aveyard's writing style because it's very, like, it's 3rd person omniscient, so they know what the characters are feeling, but the issue I had mainly in the beginning, I am 70 pages into this, is there was so much world building thrown in your face that I was like, oh my gosh, I just can't process this. And she would basically restate in the character's mind what like the reader could already pick up on, which I really didn't like because I was like, we know this already, like why are you telling us this again? And I'm really sad because the concept of this book sounded so good. Like it sounded right up my alley. There's like all these morally gray characters who like have to save the world because all the heroes are gone. And at first I thought this was a standalone book, but I have now learned that it is a series. So I definitely, if I get through this one, I probably won't continue the series just because her writing is just, it's like walking through mud for me. Like I can't. And the last book that I DNF'd is Gemina by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This is the 2nd book in the Illuminae Files trilogy. I got like 76 pages in and I just had to stop it because it did follow different characters than the 1st book, which is fine, but I just wasn't feeling it at the time. So I definitely want to finish this sometime soon because I do own the 2nd book and the 3rd book, and I loved the 1st book, so I know I'm probably gonna love this one too, but it just took me a while to get into it and I just wasn't really feeling it. So the second question is there any autumnal books to transition from the summer to the fall / the end of the year? I know I like just mentioned this, but The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I think this is just like the perfect fall winter read. That is why I put it in my October TBR. Just how whimsical the book is, it feels very fall. On the other note of whimsical fairy tale like books, Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angelis was a really good book. I think I gave it 4 stars. It's very whimsical and like the writing is very lyrical and like whimsical. I can't think of another word other than whimsical, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. But you definitely have to like that type of writing to enjoy like this type of a book. So if you didn't like Caraval for like the writing, then you probably won't like this, because I know I've said this a few times, but the whimsical writing just, it will probably pull you out of the story rather than pull you into the story. For me, it didn't do that, but I know for some people it can do that. So do be wary of that. Now, if you're more of like a mystery type person and like that's your vibe for the end of the year, like spooky, kind of mysterious vibes, then I would go with Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. Not only is this a mystery, it's also more of like a historical fiction, so it's not like a contemporary mystery, but I did really enjoy it because it was a historical fiction mystery. And that was a really interesting aspect of the story that I did really enjoy. Next question, question number 3. Any new releases you're waiting for? Yes. The sequel to These Violent Delights, Our Violent Ends, which comes out on November 16th, and I am very excited for it. Already pre-ordered. If the first book is any inclination to how the second book is going to be, then, oh man, it's gonna be really hard to pick between these two. Heads up, this is a very like gory book, so do be wary of that. As someone who really doesn't like gory, like horror things, I was able to tolerate this, but I couldn't read it too long before bedtime because I just didn't want to be thinking of that right before I went to sleep. But I was able to get through it. Question number 4. What are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? So, as I already said, Our Violent Ends. Want to read that before the end of the year. So, first book I want to read before the end of the year is Dune by Frank Herbert. The movie did come out, and I'm really want to try to read the book before I watch the movie, but that's probably not going to happen, so I'm probably just going to have to watch the movie and then read the book. But I do want to finish this and read it before the end of the year. The next book I want to read before the end of the year is A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Brigid Kemmerer. I really liked the first book in the Curse, I think it's called the Curse Breakers trilogy, but the first book, A Curse So Dark and Lonely. And I've heard like mixed reviews about this one, but I've had it for a while and I also forgot what happened in the first book, so I need to go back and actually reread that. But I really just need to finish this book, and I have the third one like in my holds at the library, and I'm like number 2 on the waiting list, so need to go ahead and finish that before the end of the year. And the third book I really want to finish before the end of the year is Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. This is the third book in the Infernal Devices series. I read Clockwork Prince and I really enjoyed it. And I know a lot of people said Clockwork Princess like made them sob. But I do want to finish this because I have Chain of Iron, and I didn't want to continue that series until I finished the Infernal Devices, because I think there are spoilers, which I might have already gotten like all the spoilers, but just to be safe, I want to finish this before I dive into the next book in the Last Hours series. Number 5, what is a book that could shock you and become a favorite of the year? Again, Our Violent Ends. I think that could really become a favorite of the year. Some of my favorites so far are These Violent Delights and Once Upon a Broken Heart, as you can see right back there. Those were 2 of my favorite books of the year. Absolutely loved them. Not counting rereads. These are new reads that I really loved. And the final question, question number 6, have you started making reading plans for the next year? And yes, I have. Not like very detailed plans, but I did start my 2022 reading journal. I already kind of set everything up for next year. So I haven't started making like TBRs. I've decided that for the next year, I am just not gonna be doing a TBR list, and instead, because honestly, I just don't stick to a TBR, and instead of wasting paper making a TBR, I can just make like a virtual TBR on like Goodreads. Instead of doing that, I'm going to be, instead of making a TBR on my bullet journal, I'm going to just do like spreads of some of my favorite books of the month, because I think that would be more fun, because then I can do like different layouts according to different books, if that makes sense. So like a little scrapbook type thing. Well, that is all I have for you guys today. Let me know any of your answers to these questions down in the comments. I'm curious to know. I'll have the person who originally created this tag down in the comments, as well as the one I watched that like inspired me to create this. And with all that being said, I will see you guys in my next video. Ciao!